together with, where our position is, why we are your dedicated partner. Okay. Well, we all know oil prices are on the rise. There's really no questioning that. That's something we are very familiar with every time we go to the pump and fill up our vehicles. It's something that we have to combat. It's something that none of us have any control over, and we have to deal with it as such. Oil feed providers have been losing customers to all sorts of energy sources, whether it be natural gas, propane gas, solid fuel, what have you. The oil market, unfortunately, has been on a slight decline. And one of the issues we have with that is the efficiencies of the oil heating equipment on the market today really have remained the same for a long period of time. That's why Granby has invested what it has into the research and development of this Conforto series of warm air furnaces. We really feel obligated to the oil market, and we want to develop a product that showcases that. Really, one of the big changes going on out there today is the fact that the AFUEs, the rules, regulations, things are changing. That's not just because of AFUE, it's because of the Department of Energy, it's because of Energy Star, and these are all topics that we've embraced with the Conforto, and we're really bringing these changes to the forefront and bringing them out to the table. Oil, again, something we're trying to combat with this Conforto series of furnaces. So what's happening? Well, oil heat customers are, dealers are losing customers to the gas industry. One of the things about gas is outside of the metropolitan areas, the urban areas, natural gas is not necessarily available. So you're reduced at that point to either oil or propane, to stick with those two fuels. And there are some, I would call them, misconceptions about propane. Is it as good as everybody says? And I'd like to, not be getting wrong, we're not knocking propane whatsoever, but we feel that oil has a lot to add to the market.
And sorry to jump in, Mike.
Please do.
The analysis I've seen is oil is a much better deliverer of heat than propane. And when you sort of do it sort of side by side, even though the cost of oil might be a little bit higher, more than compensates by its ability to deliver more heat, and that compensates for the price difference.
Absolutely. Propane holds a 35% reduction in BTU capacity when you talk about gallon per gallon. So just to put it into dollars and cents, just to break even when purchasing propane on a gallon-to-gallon basis, you need to be spending at least 35% less and more than 35% less to actually overcome the BTU reduction of propane. So that's very, very, very true. And the efficiencies of the oil heat equipment, I'll call it the old technology, hasn't been able to compete with that until now, until this Granby Conforto series of warm air furnaces, and we're going to get into that right now. Just a little bit of a history on Granby, just so you know who we are and where we've come from. Some of you may know that we have been producing oil tanks since 1954. On average of 100,000 residential oil tanks produced every year. And we've really built a strong reputation on manufacturing a great product, a great residential light commercial tank, and we've been offering the most innovative and safest oil tanks to the industry for quite some time. Not to get too detailed into tanks, but we've added our EcoGuard coating to our oil tanks that provide a 20-plus year protection on our tanks. We've added double bottom tanks that are there for additional safeties. So we are really being innovative, not just in the warm air furnaces, but all of our product lines. We have over 250 people working for us among the 6 different companies, manufacturing facilities we have up in Canada and down here in the U.S. And this number is growing. We put together a team of very experienced oil, heat, sales, technical representatives, marketing individuals. You know, we've all been involved in this industry for collectively a very long period of time, and we're all putting those skills together to add value for us and also for you, our customers. Some things that have happened over the past couple of years. Granby Industries has purchased the old Kerr manufacturing facility over in Pardsboro, Nova Scotia. That is where the Conforto series of warm air furnaces is actually produced. Since this acquisition took place, Granby invested in some pretty highly experienced mechanical engineers who helped develop the Conforto product. Back in 2011, we acquired Consalting North America, which is actually where I am calling you from today. We are a manufacturer of cast iron boilers, other hydronic heating equipment. And in 2012, we acquired a large storage tank manufacturer under the name of Gilfab. That company is also located up in Canada, and we produce very large storage tanks for all different types of industries. So our vision for the market is to put into quotes, be the last man standing in the oil heat manufacturing process. You know, we are dedicated, obviously, to the oil market because of our other product lines, but we feel it is a valuable fuel and will remain to be so for many, many, many years to come.
Mike, I'm just going to drop in again. And one of the reasons that we wanted to partner with Granby was we felt they had the most compelling vision of the future of where oil fitted in, and were making the right sort of investments in their product, unlike the majority of other vendors that we talked to. And thus we thought that they would be, not just for us, but it's all about how we partner with our customers, that they would be a manufacturer that we could have a long-term relationship with.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit now about, again, what I like to call yesterday's designs, furnaces that have been around for decades, and how the Conforto series of furnaces separates itself from that. So here's an example of an older style single-pass oil-fired furnace, a very highly restrictive type of heat exchanger. You know, this was a really great product when oil prices were relatively low, and efficiencies of those products were not necessarily on the forefront of every homeowner's mind. You know, these are an old type of refractory style heat exchangers, and what it really breaks down to is that, you know, they're not very efficient. You know, they have high standby losses. They take a fair amount of time to heat up. You have to heat up that refractory to get the temperatures up in the heat exchanger to actually deliver any relative amount of heat into the living space. And what that does is that just has longer run times. The burner operates more, therefore consuming more fuel. You know, they're big and bulky and difficult to not only install but to service. The design of the heat exchanger is not very fluid for air passing over it. It becomes restrictive, and since it is more restrictive and more difficult for the blower to pass air over the heat exchanger, it's also going to be more difficult to pass air through a heat pump or an AC coil. And what that does is that really just creates a less comfortable living environment up inside the home. Temperatures will tend to overshoot the thermostat once the call for heat has been satisfied, and it makes for very uncomfortable conditions. So here is the solution. This is the Granby Conforto series of oil-fired furnaces. To give you two examples of our Highboy and our Lowboy. Our Highboy configuration is actually a true triple pass furnace. Our Lowboy is a dual pass furnace, as you can see here. Very, very low restrictions, very simple in design, and we're going to get into some more details here coming right up. So the complete line of Conforto furnaces are right here on the screen. We have two different sizes of Highboy, equating to a total of 6 different firing rates, 2 sizes of Lowboy rear flue, again coming to 6 different firing rates, our Lowboy front flue with 4 different firing rates, and then our condensing furnace, able to fire that at 2 different firing rates. All of these furnaces are Energy Star rated, version 4.0, at every single input. And that's very important. We're going to go into a lot of detail on that in just a little bit. After a lot of research and development from our engineers, we launched the Conforto series back in 2011. So this is going to be our 3rd complete heating season out there in the field, and we've had a tremendous success to date. Now, we're the most advanced technology in oil-fired furnaces available on the market today. We have the highest AFUEs of any oil-fired furnace available on the market today. Extremely easy to service, and what we'd like to consider to be a...
Mike,
yes, sir.
If one of our dealers is presenting one of our products to the customer, then this is a key point to make sure that the customer, the homeowner, understands is that, product for product against the other vendors, we are probably more efficient and will save them more money.
Exactly. More efficient means more money in the pocket of the homeowner. You can visit AHRI, you can visit the Energy Star websites, and you will see all of these AFUEs published, as well as on our literature, of course. But what it comes down to is people want efficiency now. People want to see a high AFUE, homeowners that is, and homeowners want to see Energy Star. These are great tools to use when going out and selling this product to the homeowner, to your customer. Okay. Well, like I spoke before, available in both Lowboy and Highboy configurations. Our Lowboys are able to be either in a front breech configuration or a rear breech. Our Highboy is an actual true 4-way multi-positional furnace. Upflow, downflow, you can lay it on its right, you can lay it on its left. It can work in all of those configurations. And with inputs of up to 160,000 BTUs, the series will fit any residential, new construction, or retrofit application. All the furnaces, with the exception of the condensing, are available with Beckett and Riello burners, your choice. The condensing furnace, which I'll talk about more later, is fired only with the Riello burner. Compact, lightweight. Our heaviest furnace weighs 246 pounds, so there's really no issue with a couple of guys grabbing hold of these and bringing them into wherever they need to go. It's actually kind of refreshing for me because we deal with tons of cast iron boilers up here in Brewer, and moving these warm air furnaces around is a dream, no question about that. So this is just a quick shot of all the furnaces, all their firing rates. This is available on the back of our literature, and again, to be used as a tool when approaching the homeowner and selling the job, which furnace is going to fit best for that application. All right, so what we're going to do now is just do a quick breakdown of the different models. This right here is going to be a cutaway of our high boy furnace, our triple pass high boy furnace. All of the Conforto furnaces, with the exception of the condensing, have a 5-inch diameter breech. All of our furnaces have a 16-gauge stainless steel combustion chamber. Now, this is a non-refractory type chamber, like I mentioned before. There is no brick or rug or blanket, however you want to think about it. It's entirely stainless steel, and there's a lot of advantages to that. The second and third pass on the high boy are 16-gauge steel with your choice of either a PSE 4-speed motor or a 5-speed ECM motor. The control boards on all of our furnaces are integrated right into the cabinet, as well with a high limit sensor. And all of our standard efficiency furnaces, like I mentioned before, are able to be fired using the Beckett or the Riello burner. Now, a quick breakdown on our Lowboy configuration. Again, a 5-inch diameter breech, 16-gauge stainless steel non-refractory primary heat exchanger, 16-gauge secondary heat exchanger, your choice of a 4-speed PSE, again, or an ECM 5-speed motor, integrated control board, air filter rack built right into the cabinet, and again, your choice, Riello or Beckett burners. Let the animation off of this one because it's, again, a little bit more of the same, but important to note. This is our Lowboy with our front breech configuration. Breech size is still the same. Again, still a stainless steel primary heat exchanger. Steel second and third pass. The Lowboy front breech really basically is a high boy type heat exchanger put into the body of a Lowboy furnace. So that gives us the advantage of the triple pass design. With a BTU rate of up to 140,000 BTUs, this again will fit most applications. ENERGY STAR certified at every input, just like all the other furnaces, and available with, again, Beckett and Riello burners. And something I want to note about this front flue design, this Lowboy front flue furnace, is that when we introduced the product back in 2011, this product wasn't available. It hadn't been built at the time. We developed this because of you, because of the installers, because of the oil companies requesting it. So what I want to stress there is that we do listen and we do take your suggestions, and obviously we created a whole product, a whole unit based on those suggestions. Just another point of our dedication to the whoops, sorry, wrong way there. There we go. To the industry. Okay, so do a little bit of a breakdown on the heat exchangers themselves. The heat exchangers, like I mentioned before, are an entirely stainless steel primary with steel 16-gauge second or third passes, depending on the configuration of the furnace. And one of the most exciting things about this heat exchanger is the design. They're designed in a teardrop-shaped pattern where the primary heat exchanger, again, has the shape of a teardrop, if you can picture that in your mind's eye. And we can see that right here on the Lowboy heat exchanger, and maybe a little bit better here on the Highboy heat exchanger. This is not a simple barrel-type exchanger. And what that does, well, it does several things. One of the things it does, it provides cleaner combustion. That allows us to run the furnaces at higher CO2 levels, resulting in cleaner combustion, less sooting. But what it also does is it allows airflow over the heat exchanger to be more evenly dispersed, reducing hot spots, reducing noise, and making for an overall more comfortable environment inside the home. Non-refractory type combustion chambers aren't new. This isn't something that we created, but it's something we adopted. And over the years, the Kerr furnace has always used this type of heat exchanger design, the non-refractory type. and it really is the best alternative for high efficiency furnaces. The benefit of not having that refractory inside the heat exchanger is going to be that everything heats up a lot quicker. Our fan timer is set to about 45 seconds versus the competition, which may take a minute and a half for that fan timer to kick on. So we can deliver heat more rapidly to the space, responding more quickly to the thermostat activity, and again, delivering a more comfortable environment inside the home. And with the fan, with the heat exchanger cooling down faster, that might not sound like a good thing, but it really is, because what that does is that keeps the heat that was produced during the combustion process inside the home. Okay, it's not getting lost up the chimney, and what that does is that results in higher AFUEs, better efficiency. Okay. All right. Our heat exchangers are a one-piece heat exchanger. They are 100% welded from end to end. There are no access doors. Because we don't have that refractory that would ever need to be serviced, there is no access door to get into the primary heat exchanger. So that reduces the risk of any sort of leakage. There are no gaskets or crimping or anything of the such where that leakage can take place. One piece, 100% welded. What that does is that really just reduces the maintenance costs. There's nothing in that heat exchanger that needs to be maintained other than normal cleaning, of course. There's no refractory that's going to wear out over time. There's nothing that will be damaged in the case of a burner malfunction, the example being flooded with oil. Hopefully that never happens, but if it did, there's nothing in there to soak up that oil, nothing that needs to be replaced. So if that should happen, simply remove the burner, clean the heat exchanger, and you are good to go at that point. One of the things I touched on just a bit ago, because of that teardrop-shaped heat exchanger, this furnace really does deliver a very quiet operation. You know, I like to equate this teardrop-shaped design to that of an airplane wing, where as the fan, the blower, moves air across our heat exchanger, on a barrel type, it tends to fan out and not completely consume that heat exchanger, not surround it. What that'll do is that'll create those hot spots, and you can actually get, you know, pinhole breaches in that heat exchanger over time. And with that air hugging that heat exchanger, it cools the whole surface evenly, and not only adds to the longevity of the product, the longevity of the heat exchanger, provides that quiet operation that I was talking about before. When you have a less restrictive heat exchanger, that provides more capacity through a heat pump coil or an AC coil, again, increasing the whole performance of the entire system. Depending on the furnace, whether it's one of our larger heat exchangers or one of our smaller heat exchangers, we have the capacity to do either 3 or 5 tons of cooling with any one of our furnaces. All of our standard efficiencies furnaces are able to be direct vented. So if you have a chimney that is no longer suitable for venting, maybe the homeowner does not want to line that chimney, we can direct vent right out the side of the house. And we do so using a couple different things. We utilize a concentric stainless steel type of termination, which you can see here on the diagram. And what that does is that's a 2-pipe system that delivers or exhausts the flue gases through the inner pipe while drawing fresh air back into the burner through the outer pipe. Now, we do this only using the Riello BF burner, BF standing for balanced flue. and we can do this, vent with this method on any of the standard efficiency furnaces. Every direct vent package is going to come with a safety pressure switch. Now, this is not something that's required down here in the United States. It is required, however, up in Canada, so it is something that we include. And it's just another added measure of safety that you are encouraged to utilize. The venting lengths, we can vent to a maximum of 20 feet from the breech of the furnace to the termination. And we have various kits that are available, either 10, 15, or 20-foot kits, and those can be cut to length as needed. And your combustion air coming back from that concentric termination can be really a material of your choice. Because we're just dealing with fresh air coming back, we're not worried about any sort of stack temperatures. So you can use plastic PVC pipe. A lot of the folks that I'm familiar with use a 3-inch hard metal pipe that makes for a very nice clean look. And again, just to reiterate, we can vent with this method on any of our standard efficiency furnaces. All right. So I want to spend some time now talking about our Conforto condensing high efficiency, or as the CHI, like I mentioned, we like to call it. This is a true oil-fired condensing furnace. It delivers efficiencies in excess of 95%, 95.8% to be exact. It is also ENERGY STAR certified version 4.0 at both firing rates. And it is priced to be comparable to any standard furnace that you would need to vent into a chimney, or even use a direct vent system where those extra steps are going to be needed, the direct vent package or the chimney liner itself. So very, very price competitive in that case. The CHI can be fired using only the Riello burner. We don't utilize the Beckett on this, only the Riello, either the F-Series or the BF Series. And I'll go into a little more detail on the different options there later on. We use an integrated Honeywell ST9 control board. That is a standard piece of equipment that is used on all of the warm air furnaces. We'll describe a little bit about that control later on. One of the really neat things about this furnace is that we can vent, direct vent, using any 636 approved venting material. And this way you don't have to worry about lining a chimney. It's a relatively inexpensive way of venting an appliance. If you've done any sort of work with a gas condensing furnace or with a wall-hung condensing boiler, you're probably very familiar with this type of venting. What 636 approved pipe is, that's going to be your CPVCs, your polypropylenes. What it comes down to is the pipe itself is able to withstand temperatures of up to 149 degrees. That is suitable for venting any sort of appliance, such as the Conforto CHI. All of the condensing furnaces have a factory-installed condensate neutralizer. This neutralizer is replaceable. It will be replaced every year upon annual service. And what that does is that takes any of the acidity out of the condensate that this furnace produces, and then it can be discharged safely into whatever means necessary at the particular job, whether it's through a floor drain or a septic system or what have you.
So just to talk to that specifically, I know some of our dealers have been very concerned about the generation of sulfuric acid. That's how you resolve that issue.
That is correct. The sulfuric acid that can potentially be formed through the process of condensate, well, I'm not going to say potentially, it does get formed. There's just different degrees based on fuel quality of how much will be formed or produced. But yes, running it through the condensate neutralizer does just that, brings everything back to a neutral pH. That way it is you know, I suppose safe to drink. I wouldn't recommend it, but our engineer Jacques up in Canada has done that himself. So yes, that is the cure for any sort of sulfuric acid that would potentially be produced by the furnace. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the heat exchanger. Again, this is 100% welded heat exchanger, just as the standard efficiencies. It still has that teardrop shaped design, that really low restriction, good coverage of air movement across the heat exchanger. Gives us a really good temperature rise with low restrictions. It's simple, it's cost effective, there's really nothing complicated about it. The difference between the condensing heat exchanger and really any other standard heat exchanger is the fact that we have, rather than 3 or 4 2 3-inch tubes, we use 20 1.25-inch tubes. These 20 tubes have baffles. Every tube has a baffle that runs about 3/4 of the length of the tube from the rear towards the front. And other than that, it is nearly identical to our non-condensing furnaces. What we really like to stress is really the simplicity. And looking at this diagram here, this CAD drawing of the heat exchanger, you can see that. There's not a whole lot of intimidation factor when looking at this heat exchanger. It looks like a furnace. All right, so here's a good breakdown where we can see all 20 tubes right there in the staggered positions. The diagram to the right and the diagram to the left are identical. The diagram on the right-hand side where you see this black type of apparatus here, that's your condensate collector. That's your condensate collector. So I'm going to go back one slide, and you'll notice right here that rather than being pitched towards the front of the furnace, all of our tubes are pitched slightly to the back. What that does is that allows for the condensate to roll back to this collector to be discharged out to the neutralizer and then out to wherever it needs to go. All right, just a few specifications on the Qi. Again, Energy Star, want to stress that 95.8% efficiency, very, very important to homeowners today. Low electrical power consumption, that all kind of comes back into that Energy Star because we use the ECM motor purely on the condensing furnace. Real low power consumption. Again, something else homeowners are looking for today. Vent using that 636 type of PVC, CPVC pipe. The neutralizer, again, built right into the cabinet of the furnace. Annual replacement of that neutralizer is necessary, but it's easy to install. It's easy to service. It's a non-intimidating product. And we don't use any controls or major components that are specific to the Conforto series of furnaces. Everything that we utilize for parts, for major components, they're all off the shelf. They're all parts that are readily available at all wholesale houses, especially Pierce valves. So let's talk a little bit about venting, specifically for the condensing high efficiency unit. As I mentioned before, we can use plastic venting material, anything with a 636 approval, again, to meet that 149-degree maximum tolerance. The condensing furnace, when operating, even after operating for several hours, if anyone here has seen our live fire trailer, you've been able to witness this for yourself. The Qi furnace will produce stack temperatures, not to exceed about 115 to 120 degrees. That is the maximum temperature that this furnace will produce. So that means it's safe for us to use this type of venting. You have multiple options when you're going to vent, and what that does is that really just gives you as the installer options when selling the unit and when actually going in to install the unit. What we can do is we can utilize a two-pipe venting system but come back to a concentric type termination. As you can see in these diagrams, we can vent that concentric termination out in two different methods. We can either go through the roof, or we can go out through the sidewall. What this does is allows you to drill one hole in the side of the house or one hole in the roof of about 4.5 inches in opening. And it's no different than any other gas condensing furnace that you may have installed in the past. Probably something that a lot of you folks are very familiar with. We can also go out in the horizontal position using two separate pipes on the outside of the house. This is a more cost-effective approach. Drilling two smaller holes may be a little bit easier than drilling one larger hole. But when venting in this method, we need to be sure or be aware of the fact that our venting pipes, our exhaust pipe and our fresh air intake pipe, need to be on the same side of the house. They need to be on the same side of the structure. And the reason for that is because of the pressure zone. We need to maintain the exhaust pipe and the fresh air pipe within that same pressure zone. If we exhaust on one side of the house and bring our fresh air from a different side of the house, that can cause problems with combustion, so that needs to be avoided. This method also has advantages in a strong wind situation. How do you prepare for a strong wind situation? Well, really what it comes down to is if your only option is to install the venting system pointed into the prevailing wind, every side of a house will always have a prevailing wind depending on time of year. And if that's the case, and that's the way the installation needs to happen, this is going to be a good alternative for you. And our last venting method for the Qi is going to be a vertical single pipe system. So what we do here is, rather than venting into the chimney, we use the chimney as a conveyance. We use the chimney as a conveyance for our 636 approved pipe. We'll run that all the way up to the top and above the top of the chimney. We'll just cap it off with any sort of flashing. And we'll draw all of our combustion air in from the basement. So this is what comes down to a choice on your burner. This is why we have two different options. Our Riello balanced flue burner will be utilized on the two-pipe horizontal system, and it'll be utilized on the either concentric vertical or concentric horizontal system. And the reason for that is so we can draw combustion air directly back into the burner. On this venting method, we're drawing all of our combustion air in from the basement, so that's not needed. What that does is that lowers the installation costs a little bit. It makes installation potentially a little bit easier because the furnace that you're replacing is probably located pretty close to the chimney. What it does is it will allow for you to not be worried about the clearance restrictions. If you're close to windows or doors, or you're close to the gas meter or the sidewalk, or the infamous 12 inches above the snow level, you avoid all of that by this venting method here. All right. But this needs to be done with a couple of items in mind. We need to have abundant combustion air. So we want to make sure the mechanical room or the basement has a fair amount of combustion air available to it. Otherwise, it will throw off our combustion process. All right. I'd like to touch on some of the apprehensions out there with condensing oil-fired furnaces. These are some of the things that I hear, traveling around, talking to customers, talking to installers, and these are some of the questions that they bring up. And Dave, if you have anything to add to these, please do so. It's complicated to install. No, I don't feel that's the case. I feel that this furnace is no more complicated to install than any other warm air furnace, Conforto or likewise. It was designed that way. It was designed under that principle of simplicity. Using that 636 approved pipe, you can really customize your installation. So you can fit this furnace to the needs of the homeowner, to the needs of the heating system in a relatively inexpensive and effective way. From individuals who I've spoken with who have installed our furnaces, installed the condensing high-efficiency furnace, they've been more than satisfied, and they've realized that once you get over some of the apprehensions of that word condensing and that word oil being put together, when you break it down into its parts, it's actually quite simple. Difficult to understand, difficult to troubleshoot. That question always comes up. And we don't use any parts or controls or components that are only specific to the Conforto condensing high-efficiency furnace. I mentioned before, these are all parts that are readily available. We use off-the-shelf burners. We use off-the-shelf primary controls. And again, we did that in mind. We did that with the technicians, the installation companies, in the forefront of our thoughts. Because if it's difficult for the installer, it's going to be difficult for us to have you guys install the product. And really, if you're going to break anything down, this is essentially a warm air furnace with more tubes. That's all it comes down to. The engineers kind of cringe at us a little bit, but up here in Maine, we refer to warm air furnaces as 55-gallon drums with a flame in it. And that might not be the most appropriate thing to say, and I don't want to understate anything about the product, but that's really all this is. We're just trying to break it down into its simplest components. Rather than a 55-gallon drum with a flame, this is a 55-gallon drum with a couple extra tubes and a little hose for condensate to drip out of. Very, very simple. The key to how the Qi works is surface area. All we're doing by having those 20 tubes is creating surface area. Transfer of heat from combustion gases to the stainless steel tubes, to the air, up into the living space. That's it. Impossible to service. No. If you can service any warm air furnace, you can service this furnace. The production of the condensate provides I'm going to use air quotes here, self-cleaning of the secondary heat exchanger. And I use air quotes for a reason, because it's not a self-cleaning type of product. But what that condensate will do is will help wash any sort of, what little will deposit on those tubes. It helps wash that right out. That goes down into the condensate collector and then discharged out through whatever means the job calls for. And you have easy access to all these tubes for cleaning. I'm going to pull this diagram back up of the back side of the heat exchanger. Once you sit down at the rear of the furnace, you remove your breech plate, you remove the condensate collector. This is what you're going to have in front of you. You're going to have all these 20 tubes. All you need to do, very simply, is pull out the baffles, wipe them down, brush anything out that needs to be brushed. Use your soot vac. Anything falls to the front, down to the primary heat exchanger. Just like any other non-refractory type furnace, we will remove our burner and vacuum that out as well. It's simple. Nothing complicated about it. What about soot? That's a topic that always comes up. Don't these things soot up? Isn't this going to soot up after just a couple months? And the answer is no. We wouldn't have gone through the heating seasons that we've gone through if that was the case. This was engineered and designed and tested under extreme conditions. Soot is going to be related to a proper setup, of course, but also fuel quality. And in particular with fuel quality is going to be the sulfur concentration. So when Jacques, our engineer, was developing this and doing all of his testing that he does, he utilized fuel with a relatively high sulfur content, something higher that we would never, ever, ever see in the field, to see how the heat exchanger would operate. And it performed very, very well. It exceeded our expectations. So when I'm asked about sooting up, my answer really kind of is a proper setup equates to proper performance. If we set the burner up right, we're running high CO2s for cleaner combustion, we shouldn't have any issues at all. And again, that condensate does create that quote-unquote self-cleaning wash of the secondary tubes. And we ran these condensing furnaces through hundreds of hours of beta testing prior to introduction. And we've gone through 2 heating season cycles already. This is coming into our 3rd. And again, I've already mentioned it before, but this really has exceeded our expectations. And I believe it's exceeded our customers' expectations as well. Okay, so that's the condensing high-efficiency furnace in a nutshell. So what I'd like to do now is just go over the major components and one by one. All of our warm air furnaces, condensing or standard, use a Honeywell furnace control. It's the same control for every furnace. We can fire using Beckett or Riello burners. Our blower motors are standard, off-the-shelf, direct drive Emerson blower motors, either PSC or ECM. I know I'm getting a little bit repetitive here when I say it, but off-the-shelf components. The Honeywell ST9 control that we use, has over 18 years of proven history. This control has been around for a long time. I'm sure many of you may be familiar with this control already. It's an off-the-shelf component. It's available virtually anywhere. Some of you may even have 1 or 2 of these on your service vehicles. Very easy to diagnose, very easy to service. It controls not only the burner, but the blower motor. And the safety limit is integrated all into this one board. We provide quick connect Molex connections for the Riello and the Beckett burners. So connecting them to this board is very simple. It's just a matter of plugging that lead that comes in the burner box to the control. Very, very simple. We are air conditioning ready and compatible with heat pump applications. And really most importantly, and this comes back to that whole concept of simplicity, that one board does it all. So if you install Granby Conforto Furnaces, you only have to worry about one control board. That's it. That's it. That makes it easy for you, the wholesaler, Pierce Phelps, and myself. It makes troubleshooting and diagnosing of problems very simple. The furnaces are going to be available with either PSC or ECM blower motors. The reason ECM has an asterisk next to it is because ECM will be required for Energy Star, for a furnace to be Energy Star compliant. We'll go into a lot more detail in a few more slides on that. But again, available with either the PSC or the ECM. This would be your choice, depending on what the installation calls for. But keep in mind that all of our condensing high-efficiency furnaces, our cheese, have the ECM motor standard. The ECM motor, because of its low electrical consumption, depending on where you are and the utilities and what they're offering at the time, may be eligible for additional rebates. One of the questions that always comes up about ECM motors is it variable speed? And the answer is no. ECM motors have the ability to be variable speed motors, but they require a different module to control the speed of the fan. And it's really not necessary on the Conforto furnace, or really any oil-fired furnace for that matter, because it's a fixed input. With a fixed input, we're not modulating our flame, so it doesn't add any value. It just adds extra cost and something else that you would have to troubleshoot. All right, so let's get into the a little bit more of the technical setup and installation and servicing of the furnaces. We've talked about it already, but because of that teardrop-shaped heat exchanger, allowing us to fire at higher CO2s, it means it's quicker to tune in the boiler, or tune in the furnace, excuse me. It's quicker to tune in the burner using your combustion analyzer. You can dial this into the right CO2s, check your stack temperatures, check your smoke concentration, and then you're good to go. You know, less time adjusting the combustion means less time in the basement, means more profitability for you as a technician, you as an oil company. Just a recap on CO2s. You know, higher CO2s do mean more complete combustion. More complete combustion is directly related to a cleaner combustion. No soot. Less build up on the heat exchanger. Less build up on the secondary or third pass tubes. And really important, and back to the condensing furnace with these higher CO2s, that lowers the ability for that soot to be produced if the furnace is set up properly. And with less heat escaping out up through the chimney, not going where we want it to go, you know, that means less oil burned. Less oil burned means more efficiency and more money for your customers, for the homeowners. All right. So just very quickly on this, all the blower assemblies can be removed quite easily. There are 4 wing nuts holding it in place. You disconnect those wing nuts. Well, first of all, I want you to disconnect the power to the unit. That may go without saying. But disconnect the power, remove your wing nuts, pull the blower assembly out. You may need to disconnect a couple of wires off the blower motor to pull it all the way out in front of you, depending on what the installation requires. Clean that blower motor if it's necessary, and then reassemble. Process that will probably take you no more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. All right, so I'm going to break down both the Highboy and the Lowboy steps for cleaning. On the Highboy unit, all of the cleaning is done, all the maintenance is done from the front. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from the top and work your way down. You'll remove the breech plate. You're going to remove the baffles and clean the round tubes if necessary. You'll remove the baffles and you'll wipe each one of those down, and then brush the entire tube out. You will remove the burner. Clean the transition if needed. The transition is going to be that second pass. So using a flexible wire brush, you can put that brush up into that second pass, brush that out. Any debris from the third pass will fall into the second. When you brush out the second, any debris is going to fall into the primary heat exchanger, and you can clean that out as necessary. All right. For the Lowboy, same process, just at the rear of the unit. We're going to remove the breech plate. We're going to take the baffles out. We're going to wipe those down, clean those up if needed. We're going to brush out the tubes, again, as necessary. Anything is going to, and of course, we've got to clean our air filter as well, replace that. Anything that is brushed to the front of the unit will fall down into the primary heat exchanger. So we will remove our burner, and we will back that out and clean that out as necessary. All right. Let's talk a little bit now about Energy Star and Energy Star 4.0. Energy Star has gone through several revisions over the past couple of years, and we've been lucky enough to be right in the process of our approvals and our testing to really comply to these Energy Star requirements. And we started off with version 3.0, and with version 3.0, not only did the furnace have to be 85% efficient or above, and that's at all the inputs. That's at every input. So gone are the days when we can simply fire the furnace at our lowest input, get that 85%, and then the entire series or the entire model is then ENERGY STAR approved. We can't do that anymore. Every firing rate needs to be tested and confirmed that we are in excess of 85%. So along with that version 3.0, the power consumption of the furnace was taken into account. And what we had to do was we had to be below 2% of the BTU input of that furnace for the total electrical consumption. So the only way to achieve that is to have that ECM motor. The PSC motors are a little more power hungry than the ECMs. ECMs are more efficient and allow us to qualify for that, to fit that criteria. So from version 3.0, we moved to version 4.0, which included the ECM motor, the 2% power consumption requirement, as well as a 2% leakage requirement. So what that means is that the cabinet of the furnace needs to be constructed in a way that will not allow any more than 2% of that air movement to escape. Basically, heat not going where it needs to be going. And that's basically 16 cubic feet worth of ventilation air leakage through a cabinet for every 800 cubic feet that exists. So that's a very, very small margin. And the point I want to stress here is that it takes a quality-built product to meet these standards. And we are one of only a few manufacturers that are listed on the ENERGY STAR website to date that have been able to achieve. And of those other companies that are on ENERGY STAR that have met the version 4.0, we are still the highest rated AFUE of the bunch. And something we're very proud of and something that I'd like to stress. So with these other manufacturers not able to qualify for ENERGY STAR 4.0, that really shows how much we've invested into the product, how much we believe in the product, how much we believe in the oil industry. You as oil technicians, dealers, contractors, you've invested in the oil industry. You have tools, you have equipment, and more importantly, you have knowledge dedicated to oil-fired equipment. And we want to have a product that you are able to hold on to your customers with. A product that you are able to understand, a product that you are able to service effectively and efficiently. And that's what we really think the Granby Conforto series is. That's why we like to say, Granby, we are your dedicated partner. All right, a question that always comes up is warranty. The primary heat exchanger on all of the Conforto furnaces is a limited lifetime warranty. For the first 10 years, it's 100% coverage on the material. From year 11 on to the 25th year, we prorate that down, and year 26 on, it's 25% on the material from that 26th year on for life. Now, this warranty is transferable from the first homeowner to the second homeowner. All that new home buyer has to do is simply call up Granby and let them know, and they will make a notation in the warranty computer, and that's all there is. On all the components, we believe so much in this product that we've put a 10-year warranty on everything because we want you to feel comfortable. We want the homeowner to feel comfortable. And we felt that was a good thing to do. The homeowner does need to register the product within the first 90 days, within the first 3 months to qualify for the 10-year. If they don't, it will be bumped down to a 5-year. But that all they have to do is go online and do that, and just takes just a matter of seconds. All right. You know, we do like to provide technical support and training. It's something that we do like to do. We do like to travel around and talk to you guys, and do this more on a face-to-face basis. You know, we really like getting out and you know, being out there with you. You know, for technical support, of course, you have your Pierce Phelps branch, your Pierce Phelps distributor. They're an invaluable resource for you. But we also have a pretty dedicated team. You have myself here in this office. We have 3 or 4 other individuals here in this office in Maine that are at your disposal. We have our hotline. We have our engineers. We have our support staff in Canada. And, you know, we're here. We're here if you need us. We do have a live fire trailer that we tow behind us all over the place. I can't count how many times this has gone back and forth between Fort Kent, Maine, and State College, Pennsylvania. It has a lot of miles on it, but it's a great tool. It's a great resource for you to really get in. If you're like me, you know, looking at slides is always a great thing, and talking about it is always a great thing. But, you know, where I really benefit from is being able to get my hands into it and see it for myself with my own eyes. And this training, this trailer is a really good tool for that.
Mike, I just want to check it. Mike, sorry. And we're happy to, you know, bring the trailer to any of our dealers' offices and do the training on site with the product. We have a couple of dealers who are already signed up for that. So just contact your TM if you want to do that, and we'll bring the trailer to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shamrock Industries is our representative for the Pennsylvania and New Jersey area, and they're the guys, along with you know, and guys like me. You know, we're the ones who travel around with this, so we are more than happy to go right to you. We like that, and we can, you know, all we got to do is pull up, plug the trailer in, and we're ready to go. So Shamrock Industries is a resource for you. The gentlemen up in Canada, who are our service department up there, our customer care and inside tech support, would be Miles Williger and Lloyd Smith. Some of you have already may have had the pleasure of talking to these guys. Guy Couture is our factory trainer. He works out of Granby, Quebec, and he's also a great resource for technical support. And then you have the guys down here in the United States. Richard Rico. He is one of our technical guys. He travels around doing, well, really this, but face-to-face. We spend a lot of time working in basements with people. We spend a lot of time at the wholesale houses, and he's a pretty good resource for that. Michael Fox, he is, again, another one of our technical guys. He resides in Rhode Island and services our Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut markets. But he is available, if necessary, to make any trips over to Pennsylvania. He's just a little bit closer than we are up here in Maine, so we'll gladly let him do that if he likes to. And then you have myself. One of the things I like to talk about you know, the Granby team is that, you know, we're not sales guys. We're really not. We are technical guys who do sales, if that makes any sense. You know, most of us are from the field. We've done what you guys done. We've installed products that you've installed, and, you know, we feel like we know what's going on out there. And so, you know, again, we're not salesmen. We're technical individuals that happen to do sales. So, money. Rebates. Everybody likes a rebate. Right now, through the end of October, at Pierce Phelps, we are offering a rebate program where you can receive up to $250 when you buy 2 Conforto furnaces. So how it breaks down is if you purchase 2 condensing high-efficiency furnaces back-to-back, you can receive a $250 rebate. If you purchase 2 of any furnace, any combination, you receive up to $150 rebate. And so what you can do there, if you have any questions on that, just contact your I believe probably your territory manager, I guess, Dave, at Pierce Phelps for more information.
Yeah, just contact your TM and we'll work it through with each of the dealers.
Yep, it's very simple. You just need to complete a simple form, and they'll send that up to the girls in the office up in Canada, and they will issue a rebate through Pierce Phelps to your account to be applied right onto your account. Coming up, actually, the 18th, so in just a couple weeks here, looking at the calendar, this is going to be the tour for Pierce Phelps and our live fire trailer. So again, I surmise that you can contact your territory managers if you can't remember your date of your closest city on this slide. But we're doing a pretty extensive 2-week tour of multiple branches. And again, if you're anything like we are here and you want to get your hands into the furnaces, your hands into our products, this is a great resource. You can get in here, you can play, you can break as long as you fix it. You can do whatever you want to do and to see how this equipment operates. So just some final words for you. We, Granby Industries, we've always been and we always will continue to be committed to oil heating technology. So, when you think of oil heating equipment, we really want you to think of us because, we are devoted. We are devoted to you. We are devoted to the industry. The Conforto series in itself is really elegantly simple. I don't want to use the word simple as a negative thing. Simple is a positive thing. Simple is easy to understand. Simple is energy efficient. Simple is easy to service. It's a product that everyone can understand. We've devoted quite a bit of resources and manpower to understanding Energy Star. So we're going to continue to be on the forefront of that. We're going to continue to be on the forefront of efficiencies, Department of Energy requirements, AFUE requirements. So this is one of our goals as a company to always be. And of course, we're committed to being the last man standing in the manufacturing of heat oil products. Because of all the things we've already talked about, this is where we're going to be. We are going to be here. We are committed, again, to you, to the oil heating industry, and everything that goes along with it. So, well, thank you. That's what I have right there, Dave.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks very much, Mike. We will make a copy of the slides available to anyone who wants them. Please contact your TMs. Like Mike said, we're having the road show with the live fire unit at the stores. So please try and make the effort to go see and touch the CHI, the high efficiency unit, and hopefully we can all have a great heating season. I think we've answered all your questions, so if no one's got any more questions, I'm going to close the session. Thanks very much for everyone's time.
All right, thank you, everybody. Much appreciated.